What is up, guys? Ham Productions here. Today, or should I say yesterday, the NFL schedule was officially released, and I have to say these games, at least for week one, that I'm looking at, are amazing. So we're just gonna go, maybe not week by week, but just looking at the weeks where they have the best games. In week one, we're starting off with some absolute bangers. We have Baltimore at Kansas City for the opening night. Again, AFC Championship rematch, and it's gonna be an amazing game. Then you have Green Bay at Philadelphia. Again, Green Bay, one of the best young teams, one of the best rising teams in the NFL, not going to Philadelphia, but they're actually in Brazil, and against Philadelphia, who had a fall off to end the season, but they still have one of the best talented rosters in the NFL. So yeah, and then on Sunday. 1 p.m. You have Arizona Buffalo opening game for the Buffalo. Not exactly a crazy matchup, but again, Arizona could be decent this year. More importantly, at the 1 o'clock slot, you have Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Pittsburgh finally got a quarterback after they needed it for that long. And honestly, the same with Atlanta. They finally got a quarterback. That should be a really good game, really good opening game, I guess, just to see, how good those teams will be facing against an opponent because Atlanta has the easiest record in the NFL, and this is probably, I guess, one of their better, more tougher opponents, I would say. So yeah, week one already starting off some good matchups. Jacksonville at Miami should be good. Houston at Indianapolis should be good. I have Indianapolis doing decent this year as well. Denver at Seattle could be okay. Dallas at Cleveland will definitely be a fun matchup. And to end the night, Los Angeles at Detroit should be an absolute phenomenal matchup. If it's anything like what we saw in the playoffs last year. And then for Monday night, we have New York at San Francisco, which should again be a fun game. See Aaron Rodgers, make his second, debut, you could say, for the Jets, because it feels like it's his debut again since he, only played like what 4 snaps, I think. So yeah, that is it for week one. Should be a very eventful start for the season, and yeah, I'm so hyped for this. For at least this opening week in particular, because it's gonna be awesome. While week two doesn't stand out that much, it's still got some sneaky good matchups. You have Buffalo at Miami, obviously will always be a decent rivalry. You have Cleveland at Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's gonna be decent this year, and Cleveland obviously is always pretty solid. So that should be a kind of fun game. Pittsburgh at Denver. Russ going back to Denver. We'll see how that plays out. Cincinnati at Kansas City. Those are always some fun matchups. Then Chicago at Houston and Atlanta at Philadelphia. Overall solid games, but again, it's not as good as week one. Through week six, there were some solid games. Obviously, at Baltimore at Dallas, Buffalo at Baltimore. You had Buffalo and Houston playing, but I think week seven's honestly one of the better weeks. Obviously, you have some good games like Miami at Indianapolis, Houston at Green Bay. But honestly, more importantly, we're looking at the last two games: Kansas City at San Francisco, a Super Bowl rematch, and then New York at Pittsburgh. I mean, I really think those are just some amazing matchups. And for Monday Night Football, you have Baltimore at Tampa Bay, which honestly should be a good matchup. Then you have Los Angeles at Arizona. That'll be all right. But more importantly, I'm looking at these three matchups right here being pretty much some amazing matchups. Again, you're not going to get as good as Week One. These matchups, but overall, this season's looking really good. Again, some great games. From weeks 3 to 6. But again, it's kind of getting to where it's like it's just mainly different games, not necessarily huge, massive games like what we saw. But I still think that this season will be really good. So yeah, I guess we'll see what else is next for week 8, 9, 10, and the rest. Week 10 is also amazing. You have Cincinnati at Baltimore to start off the week. You have a Germany game, which is all right, but you also have Buffalo at Indianapolis, which should be good. Minnesota at Jacksonville again. Minnesota's a decent, I would say should be okay this year, maybe. Philadelphia at Dallas is always good. New York at Arizona could be interesting if Arizona ends up being semi decent. But really, the best two games are Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. You have Detroit at Houston. That should just be an amazing game. Detroit obviously should be contending for the 1 seed, and Houston also should be contending for like the third, second 1 seed as well. And then to end off the week, you have Miami at Los Angeles. That should be just an amazing game, honestly. Miami, again, division rivals, but you can't deny that they're, one of the best high flying offenses in the NFL. In Angeles, I expect them to have another solid year like last year. So yeah, I think honestly, middle of the season, we'll have some really good games. Weeks 11 and 12 are mainly highlighted by the battle for Texas, aka the Texans versus the Cowboys on Monday Night Football in week 11. Then in week 12, you have the division matchup with Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. But I honestly think this week could be really solid. You have Chicago at Detroit. If the Chicago Bears, are going to be decent this year, this will be a good game. And Miami at Green Bay, again, I think Green Bay will have a really good year this year. And overall, I would just think that these matchups will be good. New York at Dallas, again, Dallas always gets a home game on Thanksgiving, so it'll be whatever. Dallas will probably win. But yeah, then you have the Black Friday game. Again, should be a domination unless Las Vegas is sneaky good, which I think they could be. But then on Sunday, we have some solid matchups. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. If Joe Burrow's healthy, then that should be a good game. Other games, some sneaky good games like Philadelphia at Baltimore. Philadelphia is good, which I think they will be. That should be a good game. And then really the best game of the week would be San Francisco at Buffalo, Sunday Night Football, which will be an amazing game if Buffalo's good this year, which I think they will be. So yeah, overall week 13 is one of the best weeks, later in the season. And so yeah, you can't really expect too many amazing matchups later as we go into the year, getting, more divisional matchups. Really just trying to figure out, the seedings. But this will be an amazing week for football. Week 14 is also really solid. You have Green Bay at Detroit. Again, if Green Bay's good, like I think they will be, this will be a good matchup. You also have New York at Miami. Again, if the Jets are semi-decent with, a healthy Aaron Rodgers, that'll always be a fun matchup. You also have some games like Cleveland at Pittsburgh, which should be fun. Buffalo at Los Angeles should be fun. Chicago at San Francisco, that would be, a good test for Caleb Williams. Sunday Night Football is kind of uneventful, but Monday Night Football, though, Cincinnati at Dallas should be amazing as long as Joe Burrow stays healthy. Then for week 15, we also have some pretty solid matchups. We have Los Angeles at San Francisco. That should be a fun one. Kansas City at Cleveland. Again, that'll be a good road test for Patrick Mahomes. Miami at Houston should be a fun one. Buffalo at Detroit will obviously be pretty good. Pittsburgh at Philadelphia. Again, as long as Pittsburgh Steelers have a decent quarterback, they're going to compete. I mean, they can compete with Kenny Pickett. Imagine what they can do with Russell Wilson and maybe the dual threat option possibly by then with, Justin Fields maybe incorporating him in the offense a little bit more. Sunday Night Football is decent, but Monday Night Football is really good. I think Atlanta at Las Vegas should be fun. I think Las Vegas is going to shock some people this year. Not going to be amazing, but I could see him competing a bit. And seeing Kirk Cousins really in prime time, people like to create this narrative about him that he's not good in prime time. I think he's pretty good in prime time. And then obviously Chicago at Minnesota. That should be a fun game. Obviously Chicago, Caleb Williams, Minnesota, probably JJ McCarthy, depending on maybe if he gets hurt or whatever. Then us NFL fans will literally get blessed from the heavens for what this week is. Cleveland at Cincinnati on Thursday night. Absolutely amazing games. This is literally right before Christmas, too. So this will be like an early Christmas present. Then on Saturday, you have Houston at Kansas City. Then you have Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Those must be amazing matchups, you know what I mean? Like, this is honestly going to be amazing. Like, a little Saturday for football. Sunday, still got some solid matchups. Los Angeles at New York should always be pretty interesting. Detroit at Chicago. Again, some of these, teams really depend on quarterback play, but I think Caleb Williams will do pretty well. Minnesota at Seattle could be interesting. San Francisco at Miami, and the night off Tampa Bay at Dallas. Monday Night Football. New Orleans, probably not going to be good this year. But either way, this is an amazing week for football right here, week 16. And honestly, overall, this should just be a fun weekend for all NFL fans, probably football fans in general too, because this is gonna be like prime football right here. And then week 17 might even be a better week, honestly. You have Kansas City at Pittsburgh. Again, all depends on if Russell Wilson's good, which I think he will be, obviously on Netflix, which is whatever, but again, still gonna be fun. Baltimore at Houston. That should just be an amazing game. Seattle at Chicago, again, depends on, Seattle. They can be good. It really depends on their quarterback play. Same thing with Chicago. But overall, seeing Caleb Williams in that offense honestly should just be fun on its own. Then you got games on Sunday, which will be pretty fun. You have New York at Buffalo. Again, the Jets are decent. That should be a good game. Green Bay at Minnesota. Again, rivalry games or division games, I should say. Honestly, both for those teams. But still, that should be a fun game. Dallas at Philadelphia. Again, those division games. Miami at Cleveland should be fun. But, I think honestly this might be the best game of the week. You have the NFC Championship rematch. Detroit going back to San Francisco Monday night, December 30th. That should be an amazing game. So yeah, really, we literally got blessed because week 17 and week 16 should be some amazing weeks of football. Then to end off the season, we obviously have week 18 with honestly some solid matchups. Chicago, Green Bay. Again, if Chicago's decent, that should be a fun game. Miami at New York could, maybe decide who gets into the wild card. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh, Cleveland at Baltimore. Just some, other games. Jacksonville at Indianapolis, Houston at Tennessee, Carolina at Atlanta. Again, these games, this whole season should be amazing. Like, these are some amazing weeks of football. obviously week one should be the most fun, being able to watch your team again after like I would say probably 9 months, I would say, depending on if your team I should say played in the playoffs or not. But overall, like these games are insane. Like especially like week 16 and week 17, right before the playoffs start, where in my opinion, most teams are gonna be like 9-8, like right around there. So we should be seeing like pivotal playoff moments, like pivotal wins. Like this season should be the best in a while. We've got a ton of changes I just want to talk about. Obviously, Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons. That's going to change them a lot. And having the easiest schedule this year statistically is, honestly going to be fun to watch. Dallas, what's going on in there. Dak's not going to be on the team if they don't resign him by next season. Same thing with Mike McCarthy. Kansas City seems like a three-peat. Minnesota, Chicago, all those teams with new quarterbacks, I guess. Green Bay, maybe taking a step up of what they did last year, maybe even trying to win the division. You have Detroit contending for the 1 seed. Houston contending for the 1 seed. Buffalo, see what they can do without Stephon Diggs. Pittsburgh with Russell Wilson. Cincinnati getting Joe Burrow back. Like, the storylines in this season are insane. Everything this season are insane. And if these teams really pan out like they're going to be, like if Houston is good, if Green Bay's good, Chicago's, good for, with a rookie quarterback, this should be one of the best, seasons in NFL history. It should just be such a fun season to watch. So yeah, that's it. Just recapping some of the best weeks, some of the best games of this NFL season that's upcoming. Gonna start, I think September 5th, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think it's September 5th. September 5th, opening night, Baltimore at Kansas City. An amazing way to start off the season. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit the like, subscribe button. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for another Ham Productions video.